dear friends. Welcome to Wednesday's lesson, God Among His People. What a blessing it is to be with you again. My name is Dwain, and I like it when God is among His people. We see that, for instance, in the book of Exodus. Soon as God brings His people out of Egyptian captivity, He says to them, "Make me a sanctuary that I may dwell among you." Exodus chapter 25. All right, but when God is dwelling, this is a makeshift, a portable sanctuary, tabernacle that travels with His people through the wilderness as they journey to the promised land. They set up the tabernacle to worship, and all of the tribes are arrayed perfectly around that tabernacle. There were four dominant tribes that represented each direction in which the Israelites were camped. There was a north side, there was an east, the south, west side. And who were those four tribes? For instance, Numbers chapter 2 tells us who they were. Numbers 2 and verse 3, on the east side was Judah. Amen. Judah was first. Judah is the line of Jesus Christ, right? Comes through the line of Judah, the lion of the tribe of Judah. Judah, Numbers chapter 2 and verse 3 was on the east side. Numbers chapter 2 and verse 10, Reuben was next. Reuben was next, right? And his people were camped on the south side. And then on the west side, Numbers chapter 2 and verse 18 were Ephraim, right? Ephraim was camped there. And then Numbers chapter 2 and verse 25 on the north side was Dan, the tribe of Dan. They were on the north side. Now, on each one of these sides was a standard or a flagpole there that held the banner of the tribes on that side, right? All had a symbolic representation on their banner of who they were. Listen to this. This is a very interesting tradition that the rabbinical fathers have about what symbols symbolized these areas where the Israelites were camped, and especially these four tribes. According to rabbinical tradition, the standard of Judah bore the figure of a lion. Remember that from yesterday? Remember lions were mentioned? That of Reuben was the likeness of a man or a man's head. That of Ephraim, the figure of an ox. Remember that? And that of Dan, the figure of an eagle. So that the four living creatures united in the cherubic forms described by Ezekiel were represented upon these four standards. Remember Ezekiel chapter 1 and Ezekiel chapter 10 mentioned seeing these beings that looked like a man and looked like an ox and had a face like a lion and a face like an eagle. The actual tribes, tradition holds, actually had these visual representations. These four dominant tribes that camped in different directions around God's tabernacle. What is this telling us? These descriptions, not in stone, but it says that God's people are to be around Him, that they are to cry out to Him in holiness and righteousness, that His presence should always be among us, much as the cherubim signal the presence of God. We, His people, should signal His presence when we show up. When we are in a place, He should not be far behind. He should always be around us. He should always be among us. That's one of the lessons I take away, and it touches me that even back then, as they were camped around God, it was a symbol that He was in the midst of them, and that wherever they were, it was like cherubim. They were signals of the presence of God. That's a foundation we can build on. Amen.